Hi everyone, my name is Peer Owners. At this time, I would like to present a video of the proposed qualitative research methodology and methods as part of assignment 2 of the Introduction to Qualitative Research Method. This video presentation will be explaining about my mini research project entitled Thematic Analysis on Student Perceptions of Global Climate Change, or GCC, a focus group interview with undergraduate students of Victoria University, Melbourne. To begin with, I would like to show you some of literature review that I have made, which is related with the studies about knowledge of students on global climate change. Climate change has been a very well-known concept, especially amongst university students, and it says that university students and people living in the cities are more aware on global climate change than the ones living in rural areas. Moreover, El-Zogby and Ansari highlighted that university students in South Africa from all academic disciplines and levels have sufficient knowledge on climate change. This led me to a research question. How about perceptions of university students at Victoria University towards global climate change? The purpose of this mini research project was therefore to identify the knowledge of VU undergraduate students on global climate change, or GCC, and to find out factors that contribute to that knowledge. Through focus group interview with 3 undergraduate students of VU, I aim to obtain qualitative information about the knowledge on GCC. This study implies a constructivist qualitative approach, which in this way, constructivists can learn how participants' meanings and actions are connected to larger discourses and social structures of which they may be unaware. Meanwhile, as for the methods of this study, data collection has been used with focus group interview, especially using the mini focus group interview, since this focus group was only consisted of 3 undergraduate students and was held at VU's library at Footscray Park campus on 6 September 2017. As for the analysis, thematic analysis has been chosen because this method is especially useful for the purpose of drawing insights from real events and experiences and further elaborates on the social context which is associated with the interpretation of these experiences. After collecting data from the participants by using focus group interviews, it is time for me to analyze those data by using thematic analysis. At this time, thematic analysis was conducted using 5-phase thematic analysis of Risi and Gaur, which are phase 1, the themes related to cognitive and affective towards global climate change were identified. Of course, in this phase, I initially make a transcription of the interviews with the group members, and for the phase 2, initial codes developed and groups of key cognitive and affective towards GCC were identified. And then it was followed by phase number 3. Groups were collected under broad themes and tentative sub-themes were developed. Themes emerged by synergizing findings from literature. Next one, in phase 4, all themes were validated using theoretical framework. And the last phase is validated thematic theme developed, and it represents the actual perception of students on global climate change. In the initial thematic analysis phase, I found two clusters of broad theme, which are awareness about climate change and experience the impact of climate change, which most of the participants came with those two themes. Meanwhile, for the sub-themes, I found many different sub-themes related to the broad theme awareness about climate change. There are greenhouse effect, greenhouse gases, pollution, emission, carbon dioxide, up to global warming. While on the sub-theme, tentative sub-theme, there are bad mood, confused feeling about the weather, cautious feeling want to save the world and need to find solutive ways. In coming, in doing broad theme and sub-theme concept, I use theoretical framework that says it can be considered as broad theme if it appears at least twice in the entire dataset and has been discussed in detail in the data items or with the respondents. Meanwhile, it can be considered as tentative subtheme if it appears at least twice in the entire dataset and has been discussed within the dataset or with the respondents in tandem with the identified theme. After coming with the broad theme and sub-theme from the transcription, and it is time for me to validate the themes itself, and I validated it related to the framework that I use, which is the Campbell theoretical framework for the measurement of environmental attitude. And after implementing the framework, I came with public perception of global climate change could be separated or clustered to two main clusters, which are cognitive and affective. And it came also another theme, which is causes of climate change, with sub-theme such as useless transportation, less public transportation, and useless energy consumptions. From what I have done and from the data that has been analyzed, the data that have been analyzed, It can be concluded that undergraduate students at Victoria University have shared similar perception with students in many other regions. They are aware of the causes of climate change, and they also feel many negative impacts from the climate change phenomena. Besides, they try to take part to save the world in reducing climate change impacts as well.